I'm excited to tell you about a couple of books that I have recently read, which I'm calling Black Voices Matter. It's one of the hashtags that I have seen during the Black Lives Matter protest this summer. So this first one is Stamped. How many of you have heard of Ibram X. Kendi? How about Jason Reynolds? Probably more of you. This is a different thing for Jason Reynolds to write because it's nonfiction. Actually, a book that he rewrote from Ibram X. Kendi's book, Stamped from the Beginning. The goal of it is to help all of us understand the roots of racism in America. Now, Reynolds insists that this is not a history book. It's not comprehensive, but he does go back to the beginning of racism in America, before we were even a country. And he highlights some of the individuals who stand out in both creating racism and in fighting it. No matter how much you know about Black lives, history, and racism, you are bound to learn something in this book. And that's what's important, because learning is growing. And if we want to get better, then we have to learn. We have an obligation to acknowledge what are our shortcomings, and we have to commit to solutions. And that is what Jason Reynolds wants for this book. He wrote it specifically for high school students. He wants high school students to know their past so that they can be present in the change that is happening now. And this book is his gift to you. Now we have a fiction book that Jason Reynolds also co-wrote. The co-writer with him was Brendan Kiely, and there are two main characters. You know how the story goes in books like this. Rashad is a high school African-American student who was at a convenience store. He was there to buy a bag of chips. He set down his athletic bag, and a white woman behind him tripped over his bag. He turned around to help her as she was falling, and that's when the store owner saw them. Of course, he misread the situation, and he called the police. You know what happens when the wrong police officer shows up at a scene like this. Rashad is beaten to within an inch of his life. He goes to the hospital, and he is there for days. There is a lot of outrage at his school, especially among the basketball team. And that is where we find our other character, a white boy named Quinn. Ironically, Quinn was actually there that night. He had gone to the convenience store and was standing outside, hoping to find a customer that he could talk to who might buy him some beer for that night. Unfortunately, what he got instead was to witness a violent attack. You can probably imagine how he feels, but it's pretty complicated because he actually knows the police officer that was there that night. It's his best friend's older brother. This police officer was actually a father figure to him after the death of his own father years ago. In fact, Quinn would not believe what had happened if he had not witnessed it himself. So, the question for Quinn is, will he stand with his classmates when they protest? When they decide to march, chanting, "Rashad is absent again." These are two great stories that I know you'll be excited to read. This quick video will show you how to find some more reading suggestions. We are on the webpage of the high school, and if you click on catalog at the top, this is where you search for books. But if you'll look over here on the left at resource list, here we have some lists that I have created for everyone that have some book lists that I think you might be interested in, such as Black Stories Matter. Click on View to see the books that I have included in this list, and you can scroll through and see it is several pages long. The list starts by Dewey order, just like you would find it in the library, and then it goes into fiction books. And there are several types of books in this list. For example, the crossover right here is an actual book in the library. However, right above it, Children of Blood and Bone, this is an audiobook. And that's one that you could check out and listen to even if you are a virtual learner. Black Lives Matter right up here, this is an ebook. And so you can also check that one out and read it on your phone or your computer. Clicking on details will give you a summary of the book and the link for how to open it. You may also need to log in. I have a separate video that I've made all about checking out and reading the ebooks and the audiobooks that we have in the library.